Welcome to All Things SPVs, a Sally educational series dedicated to simplifying the world of special purpose vehicles. This episode is titled How to Work with Sally SPV Document Templates. And we'll be covering how to use these documents for your SPV. As always, this is not legal advice. Talking to qualified attorneys is always wise. Additionally, this video is all about SPVs and not meant to be relevant in other use cases. An SPV will have three documents: an operating agreement, a subscription agreement, and a private placement memorandum. This video will not be reviewing or explaining the provisions or legal clauses in the documents. The Sally SPV templates have already been reviewed and refined by hundreds of attorneys over the years, and they continue to be updated and improved regularly. If you do need legal support, we recommend providing these templates to your attorney and asking them to review and redline these template documents rather than draft you new ones from scratch. This approach is usually far more efficient and cost-effective. You'll find a link to the documents template in the show notes, as well as the companion blog post at sally.co. The next part of this video starts at the point where you've already downloaded and opened the templates on your computer. These Sally documents include clearly marked fields where you'll enter details specific to your deal. In this walkthrough, we'll guide you through each of these designated sections, starting with the operating agreement. These documents will be updated from time to time, so always go to the Documents folder to get the latest version. The versions that I use to walk through for this video will be outdated, so go to the folder. The links can be found, show notes, or on the sister blog at sally.co. Let's get started.
Let's begin with a quick orientation. Sally SPV document templates are designed specifically for the jurisdiction of Delaware, Delaware Series LLCs, and Delaware Series LPs, which is by far the most common structure used in modern SPVs. That means this template assumes you're using a series structure under a master, and it uses language and formatting accordingly. You will find a set of Series LLCs and a set of Series LP document templates in the Sally document folder, as well as other template documents for other structures. The set I'm walking through right now is the Series LLCs. Now, when you open the document, you're going to notice certain parts of the text are in all caps and surrounded by parentheses. For example, something like entity name right here at the top, those are the placeholders that you'll need to fill in with specifics that are specific to your deal. Quick tip, there are occasional caps in parentheses like the SEC and Agreement and Securities Act. They tend to have quotations on each end, and you don't see them very often. So really focus on those that are all caps, in parentheses, and no quotation. So let's walk through some of the most important fields you'll be updating. This document and the other documents will have these parentheses with the capitalized words. These are what you need to change. These where you'll go and get the specific information about your deal and replace these capitalized words, they're just placeholders, with the actual data from your deal. Now you'll see entity name. It's already been shown at the top of the first screen. Here's here on the second screen. It's here under fund, and it should be the same. So if you put entity name, and if you fill that in with your entity name, which is your SPV's name, you need to put that exact same name in all places where you find entity name. You'll find a number of repeats as well, like managers, arbitration, city and state, manager's name, manager's address, master. All of these things, you'll replace them with the actual data, which is the actual master's entity name or the actual master's entity's address. And whenever you find those exact words throughout the documents, you're going to replace them with the exact data that you put here when you first added it to the document. So you'll go through the document, find all of these areas where you've got the capitalized with parentheses, and you're going to be inputting the actual data. Now, something real quick here: manager, organizer, administrative manager, investment advisor. These all can be the exact same person or entity, or they can all be different. That's one of the beauties of an SPV, is you can separate, divide, cut up these different roles, or you can have them all the same. The address may be the exact same for fund, master, manager, organizer. They could all be the exact same as well. So scroll through the document, replacing the information that needs to be replaced. And you might think there's a lot there right at the beginning, and there was, but there's not that many overall in the actual document. So you see some that'll pop up, and then it'll start to get pretty sparse as you scroll through it. So go download this document and work through it and replace the information that you would like. I'm going to scroll quickly down to the bottom where you would see the signature pages. And in this area, you're going to see a number of the parentheses. So again, if you've already done entity name up above, you're going to do the exact same here, manager's name. So you're going to see a lot of familiar names, parentheses, capitalized words, but the look and feel here is a little different than up above because it's the signature pages. So fill these in, and again, many of these can be identical. This is where the investor would sign. And then you've got your investment advisor agreement. Again, can be repeat from a lot of the data that you've already put into the document. So this document right here is the operating agreement. The fund manager, the organizer, those you, the SPV organizer, need to sign it. You'll be signing the investment advisor page. You'll be signing here at this fund, and it is fun, this fund page. Investors will be signing this page. Now we've got two other documents to walk through. One is the subscription agreement and the other is the PPM. I don't have anybody sign the PPM. For me, the PPM is a marketing document. There are no signature pages on there, but I highly recommend that you share that PPM with your investors. So let's move on to the subscription agreement, and we'll finish with the PPM. This document in front of us is the subscription agreement. And just like the operating agreement that we looked at a moment ago, you're going to find parentheses, all caps. And again, if you did entity name over in the operating agreement, whatever you put over there, you're going to carry and you're going to put it over here. So between all three documents, you're going to put the exact same information. If the word in the parentheses is the same, you're going to use that same word across all three documents. The operating agreement is about the rules and rights, warrants and reps for the SPV. The subscription agreement is the subscription from the investors, providing you with information and subscribing to the SPV. The PPM is a disclosure document. For more information about these documents, there's a blog post, another video on those. This video, again, is just about how to work with these documents. So now we're in the subscription agreement, and you're going to do the exact same thing we did in the operating agreement. You're going to be finding those parentheses with all caps, and you're going to be filling them out. You probably already filled all of these words out in the operating agreement, so bring over that information and fill out this document. This document is unique because we have the subscription agreement section where the investors are going to be filling it out. So we're going to go down to that section, and this is where investors will be putting in their information about them and their subscription. So here's a signature page that the subscriber, the investor, is going to fill out. So they're going to put in the date, the amount, and expense contribution you can delete if you're not going to use it, and you can then delete total if you're not going to use expense contribution. and they're going to sign it. There's double signature lines here in case there's a joint tenancy or two people from a trust or entities. And here's just the acceptance of the subscription comes here on this subscription page. This is for you, the SPV organizer. You'll be filling these out. Again, these should look familiar, and then you'll be signing. And this is pages for the subscribers. So we've got basically almost identical pages. They're not identical, but they look very identical. There's a section here for I'm a U.S. person or citizen. And if you scroll down, there's a section where I am not a U.S. person. So if you have foreign investors, non-U.S. investors, then they would fill out this section. If they are U.S., then they fill out this section. And it's got definitions about what a person is, but again, this does not have parentheses and capitalization because this is a form that the investors need to fill out. What their name is, the subscription amount, social security number or EIN number, an address, so on and so forth. So they're going to be checking boxes, filling out these different areas. And this is for the non-US, they would do the same thing. And then all investors need to provide their accredited status. And in these documents, there are 3 different accredited statuses. One is called accreditation or accredited. The second one is qualified purchaser. And the third one is qualified client. For the most part, unless you're getting a little more sophisticated, you're going to be here in this accredited investor status. Qualified client and qualified purchaser basically means that the investor has more money than the accredited status individuals. They only need to check one of these boxes in Exhibit B, Exhibit C, or Exhibit D. They need to check one of these boxes. They don't need to check one in each. They just need to check one, unless it's the one where it says none of the above apply. So if they check number 7, then they're not accredited and they need to not invest. And so make sure that they don't check that box that says I'm not accredited. But so have them read through these. They need to select the one that matches their accreditation status most closely, and they only have to check one. And then from there, they've signed already above, they filled out the form, and they have completed the document. The rest of this document are more disclosures, and then you would countersign this document when you're ready to accept their subscription. My recommendation is to not countersign subscription agreements until you have a big pile of them. Big pile could be 3, could be 10, could be 50, but kind of pile them up and then do them all at once, because of security filings are kind of the requirement to file gets triggered when you countersign or accept subscriptions. So this is the subscription agreement, and let's move over to the PPM. Now we're on to the third document, the Private Placement Memorandum, or PPM. The operating agreement, the subscription agreement, then the Private Placement Memorandum are the order I typically go in. And so if you followed my same order, then this would be the easiest, because we've already filled out the documents twice. We're starting to be very familiar with the various names and addresses that we've selected. And so again, we're using the exact same entity name that we used in the operating agreement, that we used in the subscription agreement, and now we're using putting it into the PPM. Again, you're just going to scroll down. You're going to find those areas and sections where you have parentheses and all caps. You're going to be pulling information from the prior documents so that it's consistent. And this document is all about disclosure, making sure that investors know there are risks and how this SPV is going to move forward. And so again, scroll down, find those areas, fill it out. And again, this document is not signed, but it is important to share it with each investor. And once you complete this document of filling out all the various sections, then you've got a complete set of documents ready to go to be shared with investors. You can use any sort of e-signature platform if you'd like. You can have people hand fill them out, but now you have a full set of documents, all edited, ready to go and be shared with your investors.
The link to the documents mentioned in this session can be found on Sally's website, sally.co. Go to resources, blog posts, and find the How to Work with Sally's SPV template documents. This concludes our session. For more things, All Things SPVs, go to sally.co.